Okay, Ted, I see we have Graham on and Diane. And looks like lots of other folks. So it's right straight up at noon. We'll let you go ahead and kick this off. And for everyone who's on the call, thank you so much for making this time available and giving us an overview. I have to tell you, when I saw AJ Munns on the call, I had great comfort. He has saved us more than once. And so Ted has shared a little bit with some of the board members about what's going on to prepare for this wonderful event. So Ted, I'll let you take it from there.
Thank you, Sue. And I am going to just immediately hand it to Kyle and let him lead the meeting.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As the agenda states today, we're going to talk a little bit about RAGBRAI and how that's going to impact us in the metro area and Waterworks Park. We are exactly 71 days till RAGBRAI will be coming into the metro area and the Waterworks Park. And there's been a lot of planning going on in order to do that. Certainly there's a little bit of more planning that needs to be done, but a lot of the details are being worked through at this point. In fact, I would say thousands of hours of time and planning has been done in the metro and hundreds of hours within our own park itself. And so I'm hoping that the meeting today will give you a sense of how much planning is taking place to make this an enjoyable, safe event for all our guests and the city of Des Moines going forward. We have assembled a panel of presenters to be able to share that with all of you. It includes the people that are planning for what's going on in Waterworks Park. Polk County Emergency Management will give you a sense of the planning that's happening in case there is an emergency that needs to be addressed, and the coordination that's happening with all the emergency management folks, as well as our insurance broker, to kind of give us an idea of the insurance requirements that we have to protect ourselves of an event of this size. And so briefly give you an introduction of all the panel speakers today. Sam Carroll, the Executive Director of the Des Moines Waterworks Park Foundation. Tom Smolik, Production Manager of People's Production. AJ Mum, Director of Polk County Emergency Management. Melinda Toyne, owner of In Any Event. And Jack Cara, Senior Vice President of Assured Partners. So with that, I will kick it over to Sam.
Great, thanks, Kyle. If you want to give me the next slide, Michelle. So as you are probably aware, this will be the 50th RAGBRAI, and no 50th celebration would be complete without visiting the River to River sculpture in our very own park, featuring Karis and Call, the founders. A lot of symbolism in this year's ride, just by the miles, 500 miles for the 50th year. And then for the day, Wednesday, July 26th, when they'll be coming to Des Moines, which is this whole route, by the way, is pretty close to the original route. There are some variances, but on Wednesday, the 26th, when it comes into Des Moines, that'll be a 50-mile ride from Ames to Des Moines. Next slide. So as you probably remember, in 2013 was the last time that it came to Des Moines. We did host actually you and Parks and Rec hosted the camping in Waterworks Park, but the concert was done downtown. This is going to be a little bit different. They've asked us to do both. First, it was just the camping, but the concert venue, which will be Leonard Skinner, the feature act, came and looked at where they did it in 2013, said it's not going to be big enough. They brought him down to the park and said, oh, this is perfect. So here's what you can expect, at least on the estimated numbers. Over 50,000 riders that day. Sometimes you'll hear them talk to as many as twice that many because of the world record. But what we do know is there'll be about 28,000 campers. There's 2,000 vehicles and probably, again, estimates 35,000 concert goers. With a camping and concert in the park, that really makes us Main Street of Des Moines. Obviously, to pull that off is while we've done all of that before, to make it work well, we needed a bigger team. And so we've we brought in Tom Smolik from People's Production. As you may be aware, Tom is actually our venue manager for all of our major events in the park. So he's very familiar with it, has been from the beginning. And then with him, Mindy Toyne. By the way, so Tom will be in charge. He's kind of our camping and concert captain. And of course has extensive experience, not only in the park, but also doing camping in concert with Hinterland and some of the other major events in the community. Along with him will be Mindy Toyne from In Any Event. Mindy is going to be our overall event coordinator and in charge of food, entertainment, and beverage services. Mindy is also, we worked a lot with her. She owns her own event company, and events like Oktoberfest are hers. The Nice Try that'll be in the park on June 4th is hers. And then she also manages events like the Iowa Craft Brew Festival, which is in the park. So we worked a lot with Mindy, a lot of experience. And both Tom and Mindy worked on RAGBRAI 2013. So they bring that experience with them as well. Next slide. I just wanted to give you a brief overall view of the structure. RAGBRAI is, of course, owned by RAGBRAI Gannett. They plan the routes and do all that. Then there's the overnight city committees. That's for Des Moines. It's the hosts are basically the four entities: Catch Des Moines, the Des Moines Partnership, Polk County, and the city of Des Moines. There's an executive committee made up of representatives from each of those four entities plus us, because we have such a central role in the hosting of the event. We're primarily focused with our planning on the camping, entertainment, concert, and transportation within the park. But there are 16 other additional committees that throughout the community. And I think you'll get a sense, I really enjoyed your comments, Sue, because we all feel the same way about AJ. I think when you see his presentation, you'll understand all the integrated efforts that are going in to make this as smooth, safe, and wonderful as possible. With that, I'm going to turn you over to Tom Smolik to take you through the camping and concert plans.
Thanks, Sam. Like Sam said, we're very excited to have this event at the park this year. Just to give you a little bit of background, to hopefully put your minds at ease a little bit with me. I've been in the entertainment industry for 35 years. And as Sam said, I am the venue manager for the amphitheater, Lords and Amphitheater. I've been there since the inception, and I've managed every concert that we've had at the amphitheater since we started. So prior to that, I also produced a lot of shows in the rear event field, and the only other non-RAGBRAI camping events that have happened in Waterworks Park. And as he said, I'm also the grounds manager for Hinterland, where I'm used to camping 10,000 people a day for 3 or 4 days. So I'm used to these large volume camping events. I'm kind of the camping guy when it comes to concerts and festivals and stuff. So let's talk about campers. I actually just within the last hour got the official number, and we can expect a potential of 24,563 registered campers. We were kind of going off estimates to this point, but they closed out the registration at midnight last night, and that's our official number, 24,563. That doesn't mean that all of those people will show up to Waterworks Park to camp. That is a potential. There will be people that camp at personal homes, etc. And then we will have the what we call baggers, just kind of go from town to town, don't register in advance, but show up to camp, that we will manage and charge them for that privilege. But yeah, we kind of have an official number now, finally. Campers show up in various different forms. There's the official RAGBRAI charter, which is about 8,000 bikers, and the RAGBRAI official trucks haul their gear from town to town, offer support vehicles, sag wagons, etc. Then there are 4 large privately owned charters that are up to 1,800 people each. Again, they provide different services according to which charter you're with. And then there's about 15 to 18 smaller ma and pa type charters that are supporting 100 to 400 riders each. Then we have the RVs and the famous RAGBRAI painted school buses. That was capped earlier and has been sold out for a while at 595 vehicles. And then we have the self-supported riders, which come in their own vehicles or have their own support team that would still come and camp in our park. As you see on the map, the rear event field is where we're hosting all the camping. We are putting the RVs back in the Killdeer area, back in the back. And then obviously the concert venue is at the amphitheater grounds up front. We are creating kind of a unique thing that's never happened in RAGBRAI history called the Shower City. In most towns, the shower trailers are spread all throughout town. But because of our unique situation where all the campers are in one spot, we're also putting all the shower trailers in one spot. So in the Isaac Walton League parking lot, we will have 18 shower semis. Those are portable rolling shower houses for a total of 240 shower heads, potentially being used at all at one time. So that's a unique situation and a unique experience that people will come away from Des Moines with some stories, I'm sure. Could we go to the next slide? Yeah, so those different types of campers that I just spoke of a little bit ago are on this map. The main camping grid is the self-supported campers. We are creating a street grid system for emergency access and also for wayfinding to find your friends. It'll be an ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of situation. So someone can say, I am located in G4 and we'll have roads to be able to get to those people. The RAGBRAI vendors to the left of that and RAGBRAI tent is the official 8,000 people supported by RAGBRAI. The small numbers upper right are the small ma and pa type charters, and then the rest of them, the rest of the squares are mainly the larger charters who take up more space. RVs to the left and the buses up north on the other side of the pond. If we could return to the previous slide, I don't know if that's possible. Thank you. So how is it going to impact the park and the staff? We are closing the roads, all the internal roads of the park at 6 a.m. To public traffic. Staff will always be able to get in gate 1 as they typically do to get to the plant or to their job, and the admin lot will be open for staff only parking throughout the day. That day we will utilize that parking lot later at night for the concert once all the staff has left. As far as the internal roads go, we'll be running 10 people movers that we are getting from the state fairgrounds that'll be pulled by tractors that'll just do continuous loops all day, taking people from camping to Shower City, back to the RV camping, all the way to the amphitheater. Mindy will talk in a little bit about our Main Street area that it's going to be between camping and the amphitheater, but it will allow people to have access to all that we're offering inside the park, and that is a free shuttle service we're running. Beyond that, I'm also in charge of parking. The main parking will be held at the football fields off of George Flagg, where it says paid parking on this map. And we will have a lot of ancillary lots around the rest of the sites. That will mainly be nighttime concert parking. The rest of the people, the bikers, etc., will kind of have their own vehicles or be in group vehicles. The bikers will enter our main entrance to the park, gate 2, on Wednesday. And then all of the support vehicles that will have to have RAGBRAI official stickers in their window to get through will come in back by the shelter house off of George Flagg, the entrance way in the back there. Again, the only people that'll be on the roads throughout the day will be any staff that Jess might have that needs to travel back and forth, and the people movers. The rest of the support vehicles will all be in the west event field. I think that takes us to the concert, which is something that everybody's excited about. As Sam said, our headliner is Leonard Skinner. I think there we go. And it's this is the first time in RAGBRAI history that RAGBRAI has actually purchased and picked and paid for the talent that is playing each night. It may be the last time they do that also, so I guess we're enjoying the benefit of free entertainment this year. But Leonard Skinner is probably the biggest name that they have for the week, and it's apropos then that that lands in Des Moines. It will not be our typical concert setup at the amphitheater because the stage size requirements and production, rigging, etc., for the band was too much for our stage to handle. So they will be pulling a hydraulic stage up in front of our stage and utilizing our stage for back of house area, hospitality for the bands, etc. Along with the concert, we're obviously going to have added security. We will have 12 off-duty Des Moines police officers. I've hired 3 separate private security companies to help facilitate things. We're using CSC concert security, which we use for every concert out there. For the concert itself, we'll be utilizing Phoenix Security, who has the security contract for the park, manning the entry points and just the park in general. And then Kodiak Security, who I utilize for my camping security on all my events, will be the 3rd company. There will be 2 ambulances on site from Des Moines Fire Department, several first aid stations sprinkled around in camping and concert area, etc. We do have 450 portable restrooms that will be dispersed between camping, concert, parking, etc. And as I said earlier, 240 portable showers. So those are some pretty big numbers, but we're expecting some, pretty big numbers of people coming in through. So we're, again, we just want to make sure that everything's covered. And AJ will be speaking shortly here about what the emergency plans are and more security detail. Yeah, I think that's all that I have. I'm happy to take any questions now or at the end, or however the format allows. Just as a side note, unfortunately on my resume, I do have several large evacuations that I have had to do over the course of the last few years. We had a 20,000 person thunderstorm evacuation at Hinterland last year that went smoothly and according to plan. I did all of the music for Newton RAGBRAI a few years ago, and we had a storm blow through for that too. And we had to evacuate the entire downtown square of Newton that was packed with people. And I've had to evacuate from Waterworks Park for the 515 Alive Music Festival. We evacuated about 4,000 campers at 4 a.m. in the morning. So as long as there's a plan in place, evacuation shouldn't scare us. And if everyone stays calm and follows the plan, they actually can come out as a positive for the staff and security teams involved. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to AJ and can speak more about any security issues and more logistics.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everyone. We hope not to add to Tom's resume there with the need to evacuate this year, but as Tom appropriately, understands and stated, that got to have a good plan. And if we don't have to use it, then that's great. But it's our responsibility to have those kind of plans put in place. So great to be with everybody this afternoon. Susan, thank you for the kind words and the confidence at the opening of the meeting. We appreciate that, but it's really a team effort, and I think you'll see, how many people are on this team, and hopefully that gives you additional confidence that we're all working together to make sure that this is, number one, an enjoyable event, but part of that enjoyable event comes with, a safety net that is throughout. So that's what I'll talk a little bit about. And if you want to go ahead to the next slide, please. This is obviously a much further zoomed out version than what Tom and Sam had talked about. And to kind of give you some perspective there, the red line that comes in from the north will be coming down from Ames into Slater, then across to Madrid, which is in the northwest portion of this map. There's a small green dot up there. That's the beginning of the Polk County line. It'll continue south for a mile. There'll be a traffic control post with the sheriff's office. It'll go down Northwest Madrid Drive from there into Polk City, sort of that red line that kind of splits between Saylorville Reservoir and Big Creek. Then it'll go into Polk City. They will feature their town square. I know many of us are familiar with the Polk City town square, so that'll be their feature. They'll have some entertainment there. They'll be encouraged by both the entertainment stopping, the beer garden sales will stop, and the Iowa State Patrol will remind folks that they need to move on by 2 p.m. in Polk City. So our timeline is somewhat unpredictable, but yet we know sort of where that official tail end of the event will be at 2 o'clock in Polk City. They'll leave to the northeast out of Polk City, going east over to just north of Ankeny. They'll drop down into Ankeny on what's Northwest 16th, or if you're familiar with the city streets in Ankeny, it's Irvindale Drive, down to Northwest 18th Street, across, kind of wander down past the sports complex towards City Hall and the main fire station there in Ankeny. There'll be 2 featured entertainment zones in Ankeny. One will be the uptown area, and another one will be the district. And so a lot going on in Ankeny. They'll be encouraged to push out of Ankeny by 3 p.m. And when they leave Ankeny, they'll be getting onto Highway 69, which will turn into Northeast 14th Street in Des Moines. Just north of the DMAC campus, there's where they'll enter onto Highway 69, and a combination between the Department of Transportation, the Polk County Sheriff's Office, Ankeny Police Department, Des Moines Police Department, and others to make sure that that corridor is safe. Much of the route on Highway 69 from Ankeny to Des Moines is 4-lane, and the plan right now is to keep the northbound lanes open and functioning to allow for local traffic, and keep the bike traffic in the southbound 2 lanes, and that would be closed to other traffic. So there would be no vehicle traffic southbound, just bicycle traffic all the way into Des Moines, right down Northeast 14th Street. And RAGBRAI appropriately wants to feature the Capitol as a backdrop, a meeting spot, and a place to take some photos. So the state Capitol complex is going to be along that route. They do a little jog on University for a couple blocks and actually come into the Capitol complex off of East 9th Street. But once they get to the Capitol complex, they'll head west on East Walnut for a few blocks, cross the Des Moines River there, and continue through downtown on Walnut Street. There's a lot of clusters of those little intersection icons. Those are all official crossings that the city of Des Moines has designated. There's probably a dozen of them on that map. All the way over to 15th and 16th Street. It does a little kind of a angled jog down to MLK. They'll go west on MLK for just a little bit until they get to Fleur Drive. They'll go south on Fleur, but they will actually be going south in the northbound lanes. So, northbound Fleur will be closed from about Bell Avenue and officially at George Flagg, but pretty much from Bell Avenue northbound Fleur will be closed. The bicyclist will make a right-hand turn into the park, as Sam and Tom described, and there are all the details there within the park. The blue line that you see on the map it comes all the way down from Ames on I-35 south on 235, continues on 235 to the west, all the way over to 63rd Street or First Street in Des Moines, but 63rd Street, First Street in West Des Moines and 63rd Street in Des Moines. So that's all support vehicle traffic, as Tom indicated, that they'll go down 63rd Street to Park Avenue and actually come into the park from the west and the south off of George Flagg. So again, that safety mechanism of segmenting vehicle traffic from bicycle traffic. The next day on Thursday, they'll leave out of the park, again going northbound, this time in the northbound lanes of Fleur, which will again be closed up to MLK. They'll go MLK for just a little bit to 15th or 16th, then to 15th and Walnut, and all the way across on Walnut, again past the Capitol, on East Walnut, all the way out to the fairgrounds. Still talking about the fairgrounds at this point, not sure what exact route through the fairgrounds, but most likely we'll be going through a portion of the fairgrounds, then on Dean Avenue over to Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill, just a small section of Pleasant Hill, and they'll go north and east to Altoona. Altoona will have an entertainment and vendor area at a park that for right now, I can't remember the name of on the southeast part of Altoona. Then they'll be back out into Polk County unincorporated area for a few miles as they make their way north and back east into Mitchellville. Again, Mitchellville will have an entertainment area on the northeast side of their community, and they continue south for just a little bit and then into Jasper County. So that's kind of a broad overview of the route. A lot of different jurisdictions involved, which will, I think, be a good segue to our next slide here. So with all of those jurisdictions involved, the public safety is really a countywide effort to make sure that all the mutual aid agreements are in place. A lot of the systems we have for medical planning, for transportation planning, all has a regional context to it. So I know that's not a surprise to anybody, as well as communications. And so working at a countywide level with public safety. And there's a lot of other things that are going on to make this an enjoyable event on the marketing, operations, and special events that we do not, our public safety community does not necessarily have purview over, but we're very interested in because of the impacts for and on public safety. Sorry about that. If you can go to the next slide, please. So our approach here to kind of take advantage of the decision making at the most direct, closest to the scene in a way is this area, this idea of unified area command, where we'll have a number of geographic divisions divided out, and each of those geographic divisions can make decisions within their division, but they have the support, coordination, and integration at a countywide level. So my next couple slides may talk a little bit more about that. So go ahead. So again, this public safety is really looking at route management, transportation, medical, law enforcement, security, communications, public information, again, related to public safety. So if it's marketing and just, general information, not really our business, but anything related to public safety, route changes, all those types of things. And then, Tom talked about some of the critical incidents that he's been involved in and contingencies for severe weather, flooding. It's what we refer to as an incident within the event, and those kinds of things. Most of them are going to be fairly routine and small medical emergencies, but there's obviously plans for that. But also, if we need to scale up, we're prepared to do that as well. Next slide. So this slide's not meant to read the details on, but just to kind of give you a graphical interpretation of what we're actually doing here. This divisional command, there's a number of organizations within those underneath those black boxes that break down into route management and law enforcement and medical and public information. But then again, they have that support at the, you can go ahead and advance the slide. There should be a red box that really kind of outlines the area command. That area command will actually be here at the Polk County Emergency Operations Center. We're very well suited to have broad situational awareness across the entire county. We're able to activate additional resources, communicate with everyone so that we basically get out of the way and let those divisional commanders do their thing. But if they need help, support, coordination, additional information, that we're available at area command. And that way we can share information across jurisdictional lines so that if there are cascading impacts, those types of things, that we're in a position to recognize those and communicate and take action based on those. Next slide. So it's kind of a zoomed in view of the divisional command. I kind of centered around the Waterworks Park division, and Kyle Danley will be the designated division supervisor, which means that he'll have basically be our direct point of contact from the Emergency Operations Center, and that everything that's taking place within the park, all of the things that Sam has talked about and Tom has talked about, all of the law enforcement, the medical pieces, all of that will be under Kyle's direction. And so we'll have a clear chain of command and avoid we're taking advantage of the efficiency of direct communication, basically. And so if Kyle gets any request for support from grounds or law enforcement or medical, he can address those to the capabilities or capacities that exist within his division. But if necessary, you can elevate that up to area command and we can assist them. Next slide, please. And so at this area command here at the Emergency Operations Center, our job is really coordinate, support, and integrate. I'll be here at the EOC as well as our planning section chief, our operations section chief, and a logistics section chief. And so hopefully it's 68 to 72 degrees and partly sunny, and everybody's having a good time and nobody's needing any additional help. So hopefully we always hope for a very boring day here at the EOC, but we're standing ready to assist if necessary. Next slide. A little bit more zoomed in here. I'm not sure if there's really a whole lot more to talk about that has it's already been covered. I think there's Verizon is providing a cell on wheels. We abbreviate it by calling it a COW, a cell on wheels. So it'll expand some cellular coverage, which is important to us from a public safety standpoint, because we do have methods to communicate with people directly on their mobile devices if we need to give them information about an evacuation, about impending weather, called Polk County Alert Iowa. In fact, the same system will be used along the entire 500-mile route of RAGBRAI. And so riders and support personnel and families of riders can all sign up for this free of charge. And they basically get an automated notification of any severe weather that's going to impact the area that they're in. And so that relies on cellular or Wi-Fi connection one way or another. So we want to make sure that people have access to their mobile device. Next slide. So this is what I think brings the confidence to all of us, is that there's a great deal of cooperation and collaboration occurring amongst all the different disciplines across Polk County, the private sector, and RAGBRAI officials directly as well. So had a number of all hands meetings. We've met a couple times already. We have 3 more planned before the event. These are really kind of just, sharing broad information so that everybody has access to whatever information they think they need to have. But the real work, the real where we get our hands dirty is on those subcommittee meetings where we're focusing on law enforcement, security, route management, medical, and communications. And so there are 4, 5, 6 meetings of each of those subcommittees. So it keeps us very busy, but that's what really, or those are all the ingredients and collaboration that comes together in a joint event action plan. That's sort of a package that everybody can take a look at before the event occurs, so that we know, what expectations we have of each other. If A happens, what strategies and courses of action do we have to make that bad situation better. So I think we've got another slide go ahead on the next slide, that talks a little bit more about the medical plans. Again, each geographic division is responsible for that initial response capability. So we want to make sure that Polk City and Ankeny and Saylor Township, Des Moines, Waterworks Park, et cetera, all have a base level of medical capabilities. It usually means that there's going to be an ambulance or 2 on standby or in staging or available in the community. A number of our EMS services are either have or are acquiring ATVs, side-by-sides, a little easier to get around. Some are using, a golf cart with a, with a patient carrying device on the back. Those will be available. And so Des Moines Fire Department has the initial response capabilities at Des Moines Waterworks Park, but there's a lot of regional support and integration that'll be available to them in any other of those divisions, those geographic divisions along the route. Working with Central Iowa EMS directors and the Polk County Health Department, they'll be here with us at the EOC. So again, they'll have sort of the pulse of everything that's happening related to health, medical. They'll have full understanding of all of the countywide mutual aid agreements that we have. They fully know and understand our countywide mass casualty incident plan. We don't have a specific MCI plan just for any special event. We have an MCI plan that exists today, existed yesterday, will exist tomorrow, and we can utilize that plan if necessary. And of course, that involves the hospitals. And so working closely with them and having a representative from this is actually something we learned during the pandemic, is a medical coordination center representative here at the EOC that can communicate directly with all the hospitals. So that's a quick highlight on the medical plans. And I think I just have maybe 1 or 2 more slides here. So the real success of being able to operate and respond is very dependent upon preparedness. I think that everybody's had a spirit of cooperation and putting in that hard work. And so we want to make sure that going into this, we don't violate what we call span of control, so that we're not putting too much on one person's plate, that they can, even under high stress environments, manage up to 5 or 6 different elements, but we're not overloading them. And so that's just a process of project management and dividing out the labor and getting the work done. Being able to communicate with each other. We have a countywide communications plan that involves all of the 911 centers here in the region. That includes the State Patrol's 911 center. So we'll have an ability to communicate. There will be a divisional command post on scene at the Isaac Walton League parking lot. Hy-Vee, again, great partner that we've worked with for a long time on disaster response. They have a disaster response trailer. It's like a 53-foot semi-trailer that has some areas that expand out. And our police and fire departments will be Des Moines Police and Des Moines Fire and Emergency Management and Communications will have seats in that command post right on site. And then of course the EOC, as I've talked about, will be available if they need additional support. So that's a very quick overview of those hundreds and thousands of hours of total time that's been put in by the public safety community over the last couple months. I think we're in a really good spot. We still got some work to do, but we're sitting good, and we'll be happy to take any of your concerns back and make sure that they're addressed.
AJ, thank you for the detail on that. I do have one question before we go any further. I know Polk County is very involved in this. I'm not hearing much except the Des Moines Police Department. Is the city of Des Moines really involved in this? We have another park right across the street, and then we have the Isaac Walton League, and I know you're using the parking area, but obviously I think this, when you bring that many people into one area, it's going to expand, and they're going to try to flow into other areas that really aren't ours as waterworks. Are they all as involved?
Yeah, absolutely, Susan. And great question. Des Moines Parks and Rec, Des Moines Public Works, Des Moines Traffic and Engineering have all been at all of the meetings. City Manager's Office, Shay Willis from Special Events, very involved. So yeah, I would say that there's dozens of people, probably from 6 or so different city departments, that are all engaged in the process.
And just out of curiosity, are any roads being closed down? I mean, the mess we have going on Fluor Drive right now. And I'm just curious, are you planning on trying to, and this probably isn't you, AJ, but are they going to be diverting traffic, or will traffic be coming right down Fluor Drive? And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Susan. I'm having a really tough time hearing you. Maybe it was my headset that cut out, or is anybody else having a hard time hearing? I heard the first question perfectly, and then all of a sudden it got really quiet.
Sure. I'm just curious about traffic flow. Are any of the roads, Fluor Drive, any portion of it, going to be closed at any time during this?
Yeah, Fluor Drive northbound will be closed back at Bell Avenue. And I don't know if you can go back to one of the slides. It's that one's there is perfect. Thank you. I'm not sure if my mouse shows up on your screen, but really back here, this is Park Avenue is where that yellow line starts from the south, and it goes east at Bell Avenue. And so that's the designated alternate route for northbound traffic. They'll be directed along Bell up to, I believe it's 7th Street, and then 7th North to be able to cross Walnut. However, southbound Fluor Drive will remain open. We're suggesting that most people should find an alternate route while it will be officially open to manage all of the southbound vehicle traffic, along with the bicyclist coming in having to turn right across traffic into the park. There's going to be significant delays there to do that safely. And so everybody, including the city of Des Moines and the DOT, will try to manage that with variable message signs, getting information out to the airport, providing as much information as we can beforehand. So any travelers not related to RAGBRAI should avoid that area. But southbound Fluor will officially be open with significant delays, but northbound will be diverted at Bell Avenue back to the east, and then north from there until they get all the way back up to basically Ingersoll.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Melinda, I think this is your slide.
Okay. Yes. So this is a familiar slide of the park, same one that was at the beginning of Tom's talk about the campground. So my goal is to just kind of move through the park. We'll start in the back on the west end of that slide in the camping area. Tom did a great job of covering the plan for campers and our organization as far as that goes. I'm just going to give a little bit of reiteration about some of the amenities that we will be offering throughout all of the activations in the park. So our goal is to have a second stage, in addition to the main stage in the Lourdes Amphitheater, where we will be offering local entertainment. We are actively seeking sponsorship of that activity. So a little plug for anyone who may have community partners who are interested in having presence at this showcase of not only Waterworks Park, but all of Greater Des Moines. At that moment, we will be able to confirm what that band lineup will look like. Our goal with that is to not only offer alternative entertainment within the park, but also catch some of those bikers that will be coming locally, the Des Moines and larger metro area cyclists who are familiar with the trail system and are have fond memories of coming across the bridge into the park and being greeted with some live music, great food vendors, beverage options, and so on. You see the yellow T's, which indicate the tram stops. Tom mentioned that we are in fact borrowing 10 people movers from the Iowa State Fair, and the Clearfield Legion group is working with us so kindly to help us provide that amenity that will be moving constantly throughout the day and evening from the campground to that ancillary second stage and then over into the amphitheater area, where we will also be offering the bulk of our food vendors. We will have a nonprofit village that will feature up to 30 community partners that are being offered spaces at no cost to showcase all of the wonderful activities and entities that we have within our community. Of course, there will be traditional vendor activities in that people can be selling their wares, and then everyone's favorite on RAGBRAI, while it might be a toss-up between food and beverage. So we're excited with the enthusiasm that has been received from the food vendor application. We're hovering in the area of right about 30, which was our goal. So we're carefully curating those menus and making sure that we aren't duplicating in areas and working to finalize placements for those vendors. So this is very high level discussion of what we have going on. To the earlier discussion about Fleur Drive being closed, that is to accommodate the riders entering the park from Fleur through that main park entrance. So we are excited to be working with Des Moines Radio Group and their various programming to have a very highly energetic welcome zone with music and live announcements and just a very, outward facing welcome to Des Moines officially, and helping people settle into the park wherever that may be, however their camping situation looks. And that will start, we've been told, any time beginning 10 a.m. would be those very ambitious early risers, and continue throughout the afternoon. AJ talked about the timeline and how the sheriffs closed down the beverage gardens in the preceding towns. So we anticipate a staggered flow of customers to be coming in throughout the day. I think that covers in the paid parking. Tom mentioned that. So I think that does a pretty good job of quickly summarizing the offerings that we plan to have in the park. And that will segue into the next slide, please. So there is a bit of a division of responsibility within the park. Tom mentioned that for the first time, the Des Moines Register and Gannett are actually securing the talent and also taking care of their compensation. So the official rentor, if you will, of the amphitheater portion of the park will be the Des Moines Register and Gannett. The event sponsor is listed here as Catch Des Moines, and that really is just the overarching forward-facing communication component of the 4 hosts of this event, which are Catch Des Moines, the Greater Des Moines Partnership, the City of Des Moines, and Polk County. So those are the 4 hosting entities of the event that are responsible financially and would also benefit financially should there be revenue to divide following the conclusion of all of these activities. In any event, which is the business that I own, as Sam mentioned earlier, will actually be renting the park, the rest of the park. And that is because we are also securing the liquor license and also providing overall general liability insurance for all of those activities as well. So we found it to be prudent for the rental entity to be the same that is engaging in all of those activities. People's Productions and Tom are managing the camping and concert, as was mentioned earlier. And I think we have one more slide about the requirements that go into making sure that we are working with responsible partners and producing a safe and enjoyable event all concurrently. So our requirements of food vendors within the park are the same of any rental entity that is coming into the park, regardless of their nature. And that is to hold $1 million of general liability coverage and also $1 million of additional general liability and liquor license. So this is a bit, if the liquor license is needed. So I am the only person that is holding a liquor license in any event, is the only liquor license holder. We do not accept vendors that are any other than food vendors or retail vendors. So anyone who is coming into the park as a vendor, that could be Campbell's Concessions selling corn dogs, or somebody selling licensed t-shirts, whatever it is, they issue us a COI stating that the Des Moines Waterworks and the language that is provided to them per the contract are also listed as additional insured. And we make sure that we have all of that in hand along with their vendor fees before they are approved to be added to our vendor list. Catch Des Moines is actually the entity that is going to first verify the coverages, because we're using their portal to catch those, no pun intended, catch those vendors' applications and vet those initial interested parties, because by no means does applying to be a vendor guarantee that you are going to be, in fact, accepted by our team as part of the event until we've all reviewed and collectively approved and endorsed their participation. So that gives you high-level discussion about what our plans are, how we plan to make sure that we're working with responsible and insured partners, and that we have the required amount of coverage, both as the holder of the liquor license and manager of the concessions and vendor and entertainment component, as well as the coverage that the park inherently has. And Jack's going to speak a little bit about even an additional policy that may be prudent for the utility to hold should they deem it necessary. So I will hand that insurance baton over to Jack.
Thanks, Melinda. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. As Melinda had indicated, I wanted to touch on just a few different items here to give a little bit more comfort and just description as to coverages that Des Moines Waterworks carries and other options that we're also examining. So Melinda is, as mentioned, is going to be obtaining certificates of insurance from the vendors that are going to be at our park to provide pretty much like the primary layer of protection for us. Now, should we have an event that exceeds that, we do have multiple layers of liability coverage, specifically on our umbrella, as you guys know, as a board, when I've done my insurance reviews and updates with you guys. So we have a pretty healthy limit of an umbrella insurance in place. In addition to that, and so the umbrella, just to clarify too, is going to be bodily injury, property damage, defense costs, all of that included within those mix from a liability perspective. We also have property insurance coverage too. So if there were concerns of damages to any of our buildings or grounds, we've got some protection for that as well. So really the vendors, the goal is to really try to transfer that risk as much as possible, specifically to folks that may have cost and liability. And that's where that additional insured commentary that Melinda had touched on is going to be key. Another item that we are examining and we are in the process of exploring for Waterworks is an additional layer of liability, which is a little different. It's called a special event policy. And so when you have an event that is of this size, this nature, of this various unique items that are associated with it, it makes sense to at least review and see if a special event insurance policy is something that we should consider. And what that basically does is it provides protection for an event specific. It's an event specific policy, I guess, to be blunt, and it's just for RAGBRAI. Now, with these policies, they are pretty unique and they come with a lot of nuances. So we're in the process of kind of working through that with some carriers and waiting on some final coverage terms and pricing that I'll examine with the group over at Des Moines Waterworks and see if that makes sense. But the whole purpose of a special event policy is to really provide protection and isolate and have a policy that's going to basically stand alone and isolate liability and insulate your primary program from an event potentially. It's your primary program in the insurance that we purchase is really for day-to-day operations of us as a utility, and in a unique event like this, this just provides a unique way to hopefully transfer some of the risk. And with that, I'll open up with any questions, concerns, or any feedback from the group.
Thanks, Jack. So I think you can kind of get a sense of the amount of planning that is going on to host an event of this size. And so we've talked for almost an hour regarding that, but this is the opportunity to open up if there's any questions for any of our presenters that anyone has.
This is
Kyle.
Diane, and I had a question that if they should have to evacuate, where do you take all those people?
That is a great question. Is any of our presenters able to, I know that there's been some discussions about that of, I don't know if all the details have been worked out on that. So AJ, are you able to comment a little bit, or Sam?
Yeah, I'll start, and Sam can certainly jump in. I guess the number one is that as much early warning as possible is the key. If we have the numbers of 30, 50,000, there's just not going to be a single safe refuge area for that kind of population. And that's just an assumption that as the planning team we've made. And so the way we try to balance that out is more advanced communication, and then to try to disperse the attendees to the number of adequate other facilities, and thus who we're working with right now, including the Des Moines School District, the City of Des Moines, the Iowa Event Center, and some other places, but none of those are 100% confirmed at this point. But yeah, it's nearly impossible to provide immediate access and shelter 30,000 people, within 10 or 15 minutes. So to encourage them to sign up for that early warning that we'll have the National Weather Service with us here at the EOC. So we'll have, very close monitoring, minute-to-minute monitoring of any weather activities. And then to the automated notification system to try to get information back out. If there are locations that you'd like to have us consider that are within close proximity, but there are some just realistic constraints on being able to shelter that many people. But Tom or Sam, please feel free to jump in.
Sure, I'm happy to chime in here. So our immediate direction is always to shelter in a vehicle at camping events. So if they are traveling with their own car or their group bus or RV, all those people will be directed to, first and foremost, just shelter in their vehicle to start with. If it becomes a majorly severe thing, like a tornado is actually coming through, again, like AJ said, advanced warning systems will get them out to out of the park. But realistically, you can't disperse 20,000, 30,000 people to one facility that's close enough to shelter. So our immediate direction typically is shelter in your own personal vehicle or your group vehicle that you're in with, and keep posted for further instructions.
Along those lines, I mean, is the fairground considered too far away in the various buildings that can be opened up there?
I would say as an immediate place of refuge, if they're already camping at Waterworks, it's probably unrealistic to get that many people shuttled to that location, assuming that many of them will not have their own transportation. Many of them will be supported by a bus or a camper, and so just getting them from point A to point B in 15 or 20 minutes is probably not realistic. We have had some conversations with the fairgrounds and with folks in Ankeny at DMAC about sort of a contingency if Waterworks Park is unavailable due to some event, maybe flooding or something like that, that is occurring in the weeks or days leading up to the event. But yes, we've had some conversations with the fairgrounds, but for an immediate place of refuge for a thunderstorm or a tornado is just probably a little too far away to be able to do that well.
And speaking of the days leading up to the event, so what, when will things start be going in place at the park? How much, when will we maybe not be able to have folks around anymore because setup is taking place?
So again, I'll chime in on that. As far as the rear event field, we'll be striping and marking and putting up barricade and stuff like that back there pretty much the entire week, starting on Monday, or actually on Sunday. But that shouldn't impede any activity back there whatsoever. We won't be doing our typical fencing that we do for concerts because this is a free show. So that shouldn't affect the front part of the park. But yeah, there'll be lots of activity. Food trucks will be rolling in, early, that sort of thing. But I wouldn't say that it's going to have a major impact to traffic or activities until the day before, probably.
We should know more about that. We have a pre-production call tomorrow with the company that Gannett has secured to produce all of these overnight shows. So we'll know a lot more about their pre-production plan as far as when those semis will start rolling in with their stage build out. And so stay tuned for updates on that front.
If I can, I apologize to go back to the question about sheltering in severe weather. So another benefit of that organizational structure that I highlighted is that's also the decision-making process. So we have, where does the buck stop? Where can we make a decision quickly with limited information? And that area command, along with those division supervisors, is who will be consulted on that decision. And so if we have a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch, which may give us a period of 4 to 6 hours before any potential event, that's the time that group is getting together and saying, what do we do in terms of recommending and making a decision on postponements, cancellations, or movement of people, so that we're taking advantage of that time during a watch rather than, trying to roll the dice and saying, okay, now we're into a warning and we only have 20 minutes to make a decision. That's really ineffective. So that same organization will be involved in making that decision during any period leading up to any kind of potential event.
My other question, and Sue kind of alluded to it with the involvement of Des Moines Parks and folks, is there any emergency management or security going to be over at Grays Lake, assuming that we're going to be seeing bikers come in locally or bikers also traveling towards Confluence and places like that?
Absolutely. There'll be a presence in the entire region, the downtown corridor, Grays Lake. Another one of our planning assumptions is that there will be a significant increased use of regular trail systems. People will, hop on a bike trail. Maybe it's the Neil Smith Trail, all the way in Polk City and Ankeny, and make their own way on surface streets and trails into the city of Des Moines, into Waterworks Park. And that's really, we're not able to address every single one of those thousands of options that people may choose to get there. But I think you're exactly right on areas of like Grays Lake, the trail system between downtown, around Grays Lake to Waterworks. Those will be some very, very high used trails. And so we'll have Des Moines Parks and Rec and the Des Moines Police Department available to manage any incidents, along with medical response on their ATV gators to be able to respond to medical incidents that are outside of the park.
This is John Landy. I would just note for the board, in terms of liability risks and things like that, we're evaluating how the insurance company or insurance coverage that was discussed would fit within the existing liability framework. As you know, Des Moines Waterworks is generally protected from most claims that would arise, but we're looking at exactly how that insurance element would fit with that immunity, before we make any kind of recommendation there. One thing I will note, though, about that immunity is that generally it protects decisions that the board makes that have social, economic, political, community type factors. The courts don't generally second guess that. So if there's anything about this event that the board members are curious about or have on their mind in terms of, the community impacts, social impacts, things like that, it's good to get those questions addressed now. And as the board kind of weighs its responsibility here with respect to the park.
I do have a quick question, made me think, and it made me think about the rally that was planned last week and called off. There a lot of political interest in Iowa. What if a candidate decides this is a good place for me to have a rally while this is going on? I can reach a lot of people. Would they have to get a permit? Is that something that would be precluded? That's my question.
I think that would probably have to go through the executive committee on how they wanted to handle that. They'd have to go, we're not entertaining adding extra events into this. It's a big enough plan as is. So I think it would be a no. Although we do know, I've ridden with some of the candidates on RAGBRAI where they're just riding along, and certainly what they do with that is with them. But having a staged event, unless we decide we want to have a Des Moines Waterworks Hyde Park, for all political speakers, I guess we could do something along those lines. But otherwise, we won't be entertaining bringing on another event inside the event.
John, can we go back to what you said? I guess I'm trying to understand. I feel like you're asking the board for what additional information we need to ensure we aren't assuming too much risk. And I think that's what Ted and Kyle and everyone are doing for us. So what is your question to the board, if you could restate that?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure the board members, had their questions answered and any concerns that the board had that haven't been addressed by the presentation, ask those questions now so that we fully address everything that the board might be concerned about.
Yeah, I have to believe that Kyle, in these hundreds of hours of meetings that he's had, along with the rest of our staff, which, this has been a huge time consumer for our staff. So to Kyle and the rest of you, thank you very much for what you're doing. But I think they know the park far better than we do. We had some questions on medical and insurance, kind of some broad questions. all of those have been answered today from my perspective. So again, Kyle, thank you for what you're doing to prepare and make sure that we keep the risk at a minimum.
Thanks, Sue. It's certainly a team effort. You can see that there's a lot of people involved in planning, not only just at the park, but in a metro-wide area. So I appreciate AJ's comments and discussion. It really shows the amount of planning that's going on and having two areas of control that we could to manage this large of event. So it's been a great experience being involved with this, but there has been a lot of planning from Park Foundation staff and others, and Jessica has been heavily involved in this as well. So is there any other questions that anyone has?
I appreciate everyone making this available. We have all of our board members on the call. So, you know, this is important to us, and we definitely want to support the foundation. So thank you everyone for rearranging your schedules so that we could have full board participation today. I really appreciate it. Ed, anything else before we let everyone go?
You know, Sue, I think Kyle might have planned a quick comment about the impacts on the park from the rally last weekend, and then I think we'll be done.
Yeah, very quick comment. There was some recent media coverage for some turf damage that was done to the park Saturday night. Rest assured that the Park Foundation and Jessica's team are addressing that and will likely be hiring a contractor to replace some turf in those areas to get the park back into shape. Before that, the event sponsor or the event coordinator that rented the park will be responsible for those charges to get the park back into shape for the other events that will be occurring in the park. So they're working on it to get it back in shape as quickly as possible. That's all I had.
I think that's it.
All right, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon.